Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. You are with Joga Afro. This is the show that brings you world football from an African perspective. My name is Mbizom Zamane. Please, before we even get started, hit subscribe because we got all the content for you on this show. I am with the gents. I am with the gentlemen. Abafetu. Okay, I have with us Ramuki. Tohi Ramuki. Tohi. Give a shout out to the folks there at home.
Away. Latlolo Ramuki here again. We're back with Joga Afro.
Once again. Sure, boy. And then I also have with us our resident technician. This is Africa's Mark Zuckerberg. You guys just don't know it yet. Miltonius. Talk to the peeps at home, bro.
Yo, what up, everyone at home? I hope you enjoy the show tonight. We've got some jam-packed info for you guys. So, yeah, I hope you enjoy the show.
Word up. Again, thank you to everyone who has joined us, will join us, has once before joined us, plans to join us in the future. We really appreciate your support. Gents, let's get going super quick because we have so much to cover and so much to talk about. UCL, UEL roundup. Let's just get right into it. Ajax, Sebastian Haller. Please talk to me about this boy because he's absolutely magical. He banged.
Oh, he banged.
What are your thoughts on my boy Sebastian Haller?
Knew that my boy was going to bang. He's a certified goal scorer. If you look at all 4 goals that he scored, 3 of those were right in the middle of the box, positioning perfect. Natural ball poacher, knows where to be in the box, knows where the opportunities are going to lie, and he knows when to go into space. So I think the boy is super talented, and this is only the beginning from Sebastian Haller.
Agreed. Ramuki, you have some thoughts on your boy Haller?
Yeah. What I like about him, and I just want to add on to what Milton just said. What I liked about him is that he's one of those players that he doesn't have to touch the ball to gain confidence. So, for example, the whole time he's been on, he's been touching the ball and then getting into the box and finishing it. That's where his expertise is. He just wants to finish the game. He doesn't want to be the one who's a part of the build-up, who wants to do all of these extra things. He just wants to score. And that's very rare with the modern game right now because everything is just connected so much. He just wants to get into the box and score. And I think that's something a lot of teams are going to be interested in a few months, if not a year's time.
Yeah, absolutely. Going a bit backwards now to a more classical kind of number 9. I mean, looking at his statistics here, 37 touches is not that many touches for a modern footballer, right? I mean, would you guys agree? It's not that many touches, right? But 5 shots, 4 on target, and all 4 went in. I mean, that's as lethal as it gets.
That's efficiency right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Efficiency. Again, only 18 accurate passes. Okay, 23 passes. That doesn't strike me as a lot. Probably about average. He's not a dribbler. We know that. But aerial duels. I mean, this is a player, Jeff. This is a number 9. And obviously to do this on your debut. On your Champions League debut, I mean, that's got to be class, right?
Yeah,
a kid like he can only get better. Not only with these numbers, but he can only get better. He improves his pass accuracy. He becomes more efficient with playing with the others. I mean, finishing shots 5 out of 4 times. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic.
Who wouldn't want
him? And the thing that I like about the boy is he's already started scoring for Ivory Coast. He's scoring at home, right? Because we've had a few times in the past where a striker is spectacular in European setups, European club teams. But when he comes home, AFCON qualifiers, civil war, it becomes harder for the boy to play on the continent. But Haller has proven that he can actually do it in both, in Europe and at home in Africa.
I mean, it would be
definitely,
great if he had those Drogba genes.
Yeah,
and
Drogba
he,
jeans for sure.
Ivory Coast. Ooh, that would be amazing to see.
yeah.
Because I mean, Drogba was a great finisher, a great character, great leader for Ivory Coast, and this boy, if he can do anything just as close to that, I think that's a great addition for the country.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Tonius, you wanted to add?
I was gonna say that he doesn't even waste the ball. If you look at the stat that says he got 18 out of 23 accurate passes, I mean that's marvelous. He only got 37 touches, so it shows that when he did get the ball, he made very good use of it and he didn't lose it.
Mhm, mhm.
So I like that a lot.
Yeah, for an attacking player that's expected to play riskier passes,
Yep,
that's actually a very good statistic, right?
yep.
He's an attacking player forward, right? All right, awesome, gents. Thank you for that one. Now let's move on to another one. And actually, I want to talk about this one not for the reasons that some people might think, but Manchester United going down to young boys from Switzerland. But this isn't a show about Cristiano Ronaldo. This is a show about Africans. So what I want to talk about is the two Cameroonian boys from Young Boys that downed Manchester United. The first one, his name is Theoson Jordan Sebachil Befok. Okay, and the other one is Mumi Ngameleo. So this boy Befok is actually he represents the American national team. Actually
What?
represents the American national team. Yeah, he was born in DC to Cameroonian parents. Grew up in France. He's a product of Rem in France, but now since I think about 2 or so years ago, but we know an African when we see one. What are you guys'
Hmm.
thoughts on that game?
You
Oh,
can go
the
ahead, Ramon.
game. Yeah, I thought the game was amazing, especially to see the boys play, showing their skill, showing how tremendous they are dribbling wise. I mean, they were giving a problem. I think one of the boys was playing on the left side,
Mhm.
left wing side. I can't pronounce his name, but he was
Yeah,
just
it's jungle
terrorizing.
names, my boy.
But he was just terrorizing anybody that was coming on that side. I mean, I saw him give beans to one of the menu guys. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm sure I'm sure he doesn't want to see that again. So the boys were really amazing to watch. Amazing to watch. I mean, they showed their African flair on the European stage, and I thought that was amazing. It was great to see them.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
Miltonius, you wanted to
I
add to
thought
that?
I thought they showed a tremendous character as well because Man United scored first, and it was a Cristiano Ronaldo goal, and they came back in the second half to actually not only equalize but win the match in the dying stages. That shows that they were switched on as well. Sebacho was literally waiting for that ball, and he struck at the right time because he was switched on even at the dying moments of the game. So I really like that about him. I think those are players to watch out for.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we can obviously talk about how Manchester United is probably not spectacularly coached. Okay, we know that they lack a little bit in the dugout, but I think to focus solely on that would take away from what Young Boys was able to accomplish on a big European night. To get a result like that for them, I mean, they must be absolutely buzzing. And it was a wonderful performance. We cannot just say, oh, well, Ole took out Ronaldo. Lingard
No,
was Lingard. We have to give credit to young boys who actually regularly are an avenue for many young African players coming from the continent before they actually get into bigger leagues. This is actually a great feeder club and feeder league for Africans.
yeah, 100% right on that. And I mean, just thinking about it, who would have thought, well, young boys were going to win it? And especially in the way they did it. I mean, they were dominating possession. Granted, they were Man United was playing with 10 men, but I've seen teams with 10 men coming back and winning.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
seen teams with 10 men defend the lead or defend a goal. But with this one, that was not the case. They put so much pressure on your so-called elite, very elite teams that they made a mistake, and guess who punished?
Yeah,
Our
yeah,
boy punished.
Hmm.
So for
yeah.
me, I think it was a great psychological boost, good confidence booster uh, for all the boys at Young Boys.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thanks for that, gents. Once again, folks, you are with Joga Afro. We're doing a quick UCL and UEL roundup before we get into some other issues. And I have a surprise for you guys. Yes, he's on African time, but yes, he is also here with us now. Tembani, how are you, my friend? I think you're on mute, brother.
Oh yeah, sorry about that. Sorry about that.
No
Yo,
problem,
guys,
my man.
everything that could go wrong went wrong today. But yeah, but I caught a bit of a short piece. I caught some of the topics you guys are talking about, and yeah, glad to be here. Great to be here. Thanks for the great show.
Thanks, Tembani. Thanks for joining us, brother. But let's keep it moving, gents, because again, there's so much to cover. Barcelona detonated by Bayern. Absolutely detonated. Okay, maybe put up a fight early, but this match for me was always going to end one way. But I really want to put focus on the African youngsters that seem to be coming out on a conveyor belt from Barcelona these days, right? In the last half a decade or so, we're seeing players like Ilax Moriba, Ansu Fati. Of course, we all know Adama Traore, who probably has the highest profile of those guys. And in that game, a young man by the name of Alex Balde debuted as well. 17-year-old boy whose father is from Guinea-Bissau and his
Yeah.
mother is Dominican, from Dominican Republic. Um, and it's incredible to see a club like Barcelona developing so many young African youngsters. What do you think, gents?
That's a real surprise
Mm,
because given my experience of Spanish teams, uh, the Spanish league rather, it hasn't been that big on African players. It's had some great African players like Eto, but in terms of the sheer number of African players, it hasn't been that much. And the conditions that they've been playing under have been somewhat different. Some obviously have been crying about things like racism, not only from fans and but also from coaches.
Mm,
So it's interesting to see whether this is a new shift uh, in society in Spain, or if it's just an anomaly.
yeah, yeah. What do you think,
Mm.
gents? Any opinion on this? I mean, I know that at least since Eto's time there, they've definitely made some. Barcelona has made some attempts to partner with a few Cameroonian youth academies and so on and so forth. So I know a little bit about that. But Timbani, do you wanna speak on that a little bit?
yeah, for sure. I mean, just to go on the same wave that you're on now, I know they've partnered with the KZN or Durban, South Africa based
No.
academy, also Barca. So yeah, they definitely doing it now. But I think for the longest of time, most of the Spanish teams or Barca specifically have been able to pick and choose who they want in the team, but not necessarily having them come up, like you say, like in a conveyor belt where they have youngsters coming in from a young age. But I think also we can add that to the amount of African people, and then now the kids that are there and their kids obviously being integrated into
Yeah.
society, and also society finally opening up a bit more to them. I won't say accept, right, but opening up a bit more to them, being, and hence why maybe we're seeing this.
Yeah, yeah. And how do you rate these boys in particular? Elax, Ansu. Do you guys like these players?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously, we just have to keep a track on all those guys, right? And looks like they're gonna be very, very important for Barca going forward, especially now that they're in the rebuilding phase. But even if some of them don't actually make it in the Barca first team and move somewhere else, there will definitely be players that we will definitely hear a lot about, see a lot about, and potentially do some great things. Yeah.
Any opinion on these guys in particular, Milton?
Yeah.
These particular players?
I think these particular players will make an impact. Either if it's not at Barcelona, then definitely they so good that they'll make it at any other club. I think a lot of big clubs will be dying to sign players like that if Barcelona ever slips up, but I don't think they will. And especially in the position that they are in right now, financially and everything, they need these brilliant players to kind of revive the identity of Barcelona that of old, which is a big task to ask of these kids, but I believe that they're talented, and if they build a team around them and bring in more players like them, then they can definitely start a new phase of or a new era rather.
Ramuki, it seemed like you wanted to add
Unless Pep
something.
Guardiola comes.
unless, unless Pep comes back and he ships them all out. If Eto'o and Yaya couldn't make it, who can under Pep?
Yep, exactly.
Who can?
Not,
Who can?
not enough money for Pep to go there.
They're broke now. Now they're broke.
Yeah, no, they're broke now. He can't go there.
There's no 100 mil for both Jack Grealish and 150 for Harry Kane.
No.
And there's no young Messi there that he can help him out.
Yeah.
You might
But what I
have to,
want-
you might have to buy Jeremy Mattel back with the budget that they have.
Jeremy Mateo. Hey, shots fired. Shots fired.
But
Okay,
what I
gents,
wanted to
let's-
say about
okay, go ahead, Rami. No, go ahead.
yeah, what I wanted to say was it was a little bit different to what you guys were thinking, because my understanding right now with Barcelona is I don't know if it's the financial crisis that are putting them in a position where it seems like they're a bit forced. Maybe forced is a strong word, but a bit forced to put in these development kids. And I think right now, I think these African development kids are the ones that are really looking good right now, right? So I'm just I'm still kind of wrapping my head around, is it the fact that they're in this financial position, that's why they're giving these kids this time? Or is it because even if they did have the money, these kids were still going to play?
Mm,
That's where we are right now. But regardless of the fact, they must use whatever opportunity they get in the squad to perform.
yeah.
They've got great
Absolutely.
potential. They've got great potential, but anything can happen. We've seen kids. We've seen kids coming in at Barca, going to other clubs, and all of a sudden they fade out.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's going to be up to them to really put that level across the more years that they are in football. So we'll get to see, but tremendous talent from them.
All right, man. Let's wish them luck, those boys. Let's check out what we have in the comments here. Okay. From Chad Peterson, that Barca Academy in Cameroon set up alongside Eto'o, that Samuel Eto'o, was a good feeder. Andre Onana. I didn't realize that he was from that academy, but if these are the kinds of products that are coming out of that system, then we definitely have other things that we can look forward to. Gents, let's keep pushing. Lukaku bangs again. Chelsea defeat Zenit. That's death and taxes, and Lukaku banging.
Yeah.
Right. That's pretty much guaranteed. Okay. Another one I wanted to talk about. Yeah, is the sky blue? Is water wet? Christopher Nkunku, okay, a PSG product, now at Leipzig, okay, scores a hat-trick against Manchester City, despite the fact that Manchester City wins 6-3. I really like this boy, and I think he's developing quite well in Germany. What are your guys' thoughts on the game or on the player? Any of the above, please feel free.
The boy is too talented.
Okay.
He was rather unfortunate to have lost the game, and I think it was a spectacular performance. To me, that was a man of the match performance by Nkunku. And to be honest, I hadn't seen him that much before, and I was thoroughly impressed by what I saw. I actually had to go back and watch more film of him playing to understand what kind of a player he is and how he actually developed over time. And fantastic player. That's I'm dying to see more of him.
Barry Pep will never win a Champions League because of the way he treated Yaya Toure. They say that the shamans, Yaya's agent in 2018 said that the shamans, the African shamans, will never allow Guardiola to win a Champions League. Is this Man City's year, or are the Sangomas are the
Not with
Sangomas
this squad.
strong?
I think it's still too early to tell.
Not with his squad.
No, unless he slaughters a white chicken.
He must slaughter. He must slaughter. He must
slaughter a white chicken.
He must make sacrifices
Make
to Yaya's
sacrifices
ancestors to ask forgiveness.
Yeah, exactly.
The only way Pep is gonna win anything, he has to go back to Africa. He has to sit with the elders. He has to come with a bulamlomu. He has to come with something.
You don't just
Open your mouth and then sit down with them and apologize before anything. Because it's not just Yaya.
Yes.
It's not just Yaya.
We spoke a little bit about this just a moment ago. Yeah. It's not just Yaya.
He's gonna have to kill a lot of cows.
Yeah. But as Temba says,
he might have to get a second wife. A second wife who's African.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess Cameroon is where to look because the Ivorians won't have it. But as Temba says, it is maybe a bit early. Okay. But my initial impression is to give up, even though you scored 6, to give up 3 goals. I think it demonstrates a pretty leaky defense. And one, I think, certainly if I mean, they're a quality team with all due respect, but certainly if a Red Bull is managing to score 3 goals against you, then certainly you're quite exposed against the likes of Bayern Munich, even a very resurgent Real Madrid, Inter Milan. There's some very, very strong teams in the Champions League this year, and I fear for them if they're giving up 3 goals on the Champions League
against Red Bull.
Yeah,
I didn't include a PSG in there.
Yeah. Even a PSG,
for sure.
if they get it together.
I'd include it because they can hit them with the break.
And
I mean, you've got Neymar on one side, you've got Mbappe on the other side, you've got Lionel Messi there. Who's gonna stop them there with that weak defense?
And I don't think these guys have like that strong of an attack. To be honest, I think Leipzig's defense was shaky that night. If they come up against the Bayern with a stronger defense, then it's going to be a problem. And with their defense and Bayern's attack, it's going to be the situation might turn around. Actually,
look, I mean, for me, the most interesting thing with Manchester City is Raheem Sterling. He went from being a key guy last season, key guy for England during the Euros, and then now all of a sudden he's not really getting game time. Obviously, I do understand that Jack Grealish is there, the £100 million man, but can he give you that width? And then your Florian Torres on the other side. So I feel like there's a bit of an imbalance there. The guys that they might have on the wings don't actually do the tracking back, and like you said, Milton against a team with much more better quality, will definitely be exposed.
Yeah, I mean, Mahrez on the bench. Raheem Sterling is actually, people forget the guy's only 26. He's entering his prime now. So as good as he has been, he really should only be getting better at this point. But if he is playing, and then Mahrez, give Mahrez Buffett, blind. Mahrez is so good, so quality on the ball. I mean, fantastic moments of magic on a consistent basis. So for me, it's actually absurd that they're not starting. I also feel Jack Grealish, £100 million, the boy has to play. But does Ferran have to play? Does Gabriel Jesus have to play? I'm not so sure about that. Personally.
I think that's another thing. They don't have a striker this season. They got rid of Aguero, but they didn't really replace him with anyone. And Jesus just doesn't cut it. Jesus doesn't cut it.
Yes.
Who's the striker?
Jesus.
Who's
the striker?
Jesus. He just
the striker that plays right wing. The striker that plays right wing.
How do you let Aguero go and keep Jesus and then play him on the right?
Yeah.
Sometimes I have to ask myself
the defensive striker.
Yeah, defensive striker. Okay, gents, let's keep it moving. I want to talk quickly about Sheriff from Moldova. Okay, making history by beating Shakhtar in their first ever Champions League appearance. And once again, who scores for them? A team from Moldova. God knows how these Africans arrived there, but they are there. And Adama Traore as well from Mali, no relation.
No relation.
No relation.
No
And a
relation.
Momo Yansane from Guinea. These are
Momo
two players that are
Yansane,
playing
yeah.
at Sheriff. Sheriff's first ever Champions League appearance. And these two Africans, they bang 2-0 against Shakhtar. What are your thoughts on this historic moment for these guys?
Look,
You know
historic
who
as you
the
say
number
it
9
is.
reminds me of? Sorry
Say-
about
say
that.
that
no,
again?
Go ahead. Yeah.
I'm saying the number 9. You know who he reminds me of? He reminds me
Mm.
of Abraham. He has that body structure, that Abraham body structure that's in Roma right now.
Mm-hmm.
He's got that
Yeah.
Oh, Tammy.
that
Tammy. That
Yeah,
African
Tammy
body.
Abraham,
It's
yeah.
okay. You can say it. That
Yeah.
big,
Got that African body where you can
long
just
limbs. Yeah, very
Yeah.
long. Can hold up the ball. Can shield. But at
you
the
think
same
he's got
time,
the
he's
ball, but then
mobile.
just
Yeah, to
You
me,
think
he
he's got
reminds
the
me a little
ball,
bit
but
of
nope.
like what you described reminds me a little bit of Robson Kanu. Tall,
Oh,
but unsuspectingly very skillful and great finisher as well.
Mhm, mhm.
So
And
Adebayo,
actually, yeah, Adebayo. Yeah, this is
Adebayo,
actually a quite typical
yes,
yeah.
African striker. Even Lassina Traore, the Ivorian guy,
yeah.
big boy, big boy. So this is actually a very common type of striker coming from the continent. They can be tall, long, big, but they don't move like Peter Crouch. They actually have good mobility. They can dribble. They can do other footballing things other than just use something other than their feet. Head the ball and so on and so forth. But speaking of Tammy Abraham, he also got on the score sheet for Roma against CSK Sofia, and he's off to a flyer in Rome. I must admit, I didn't rate him that much at Chelsea, but the boy is playing the football of his life.
wow, he's banging.
Yeah. He looks very happy, but Mourinho also looks very happy. So it looks like there's a very happy camp going on there.
Yeah,
Roma.
yeah.
Everyone is having a good time. Everything is just falling into place. But I'm really actually happy to see Tammy getting some game time. Like you, I didn't rate him that much. I saw him as a player, obviously, and I mean Arsenal was linked with him, and I was not happy about that. But now seeing the type of player that is actually growing into or becoming, it's definitely great to watch. Definitely great to watch. Definitely great to watch.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, I'm happy for the. How many appearances has he made for England? Do you guys know? Because I'm not sure. Has he played more than 3 times for England?
Yeah, I think so.
Or no? He has. He's already played 3 times.
I think he has. Because I've seen him a couple of times during the times where Hudson-Odoi was also playing.
Gotcha.
He was also playing there. But I'm not so sure. But I think it is more than 3 times.
Well, Hudson is another one actually, because I was thinking that perhaps I was thinking that perhaps it would be time for him to start considering Nigeria. I mean, obviously he did make a few appearances for England, but we know how easy it is for the English to dispose of Africana talent the moment a real British player is available. I mean, for example, Patrick Bamford is a good player, playing well.
Yeah.
They immediately say, okay, Tammy Abraham out, Patrick Bamford in. It's really. I mean, they did the same thing with Jermaine Defoe. I mean, Jermaine Defoe was absolutely balling, almost his entire career. And the moment a mediocre striker who just happens to be doing well at the time shows up, you're on bench or you're not appearing anymore. Hudson-Odoi is allegedly. Who's this?
Darren Bent, if I'm not mistaken.
Darren
Also,
Bent.
he never
Darren
got a
Bent.
Darren Bent.
Yeah, the Jamaicans suffer pretty much the same thing as the Africans. And Hudson-Odoi is also thinking about switching nationalities. What do you guys think about that?
I think it's a great idea.
For Ghana?
Fantastic.
I mean, like I said to you,
Zaha.
I want to believe that Africans can take it this next World Cup. next year.
Yeah,
I'm
we all
hoping they
want to
take it.
believe.
And the
We all want to
only
believe.
way they can take him is if the best players go to their countries.
Mm, mm.
Do you
That's
understand?
true.
So for me, it's a great idea. Either way, let him come to Africa.
Hey,
Are they gonna be
you're going to have to slaughter something with Pep Guardiola. You, if you want an African country to win next World Cup as well, the two of you will have to slaughter side by side
No,
because
trust me, I'm
I'm not
sacrificing.
hopeful.
You don't
I'm gonna
see
be
that happen.
sacrificing a few things.
All right,
A
I'm gonna
couple of
sacrifice a
things.
French pit bull or something.
okay, fair enough, gents. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Let's see what some of the folks have for us in the comment. Mourinho plus African striker equals a love
Love
story.
story.
That's
Yeah,
true.
I mean it's true. Yeah, we know about Mourinho's love affair with African players. In fact, he's even called into question some other world coaches before for not using African players in their setup. I think Pep in particular. He once said, "Yeah, he's winning. It's all good, but where are the African players?" That's
the
one
black
thing
guys?
Mourinho and I. Yeah, that's one thing Mourinho and I can agree on. Let's see. On goal, Liberia says great for Ghana. Right? I think we all generally tend to agree with that. Okay. The last comment here also from Chad Peterson. Tammy has 6 caps late. CHO would
Wow.
definitely be eligible for the World Cup. Bafana beats them now, and then you'll see us AFCON 2023. What do you guys think, gents? Since we've stumbled onto the subject, Bafana beating
Yeah.
the Black Stars.
Yes,
Is this real?
yes, I see
Look.
it. I believe it.
Look, I like to live in my own world, especially when it comes to Bafana or South African football in general, right? But the best I think we can do in this case should be a draw. Away, it's away anyway in Ghana. Should be a draw, would be a good result for us. But beating them away, I don't see it happening because they're gonna have most of the stars that weren't able to travel to South Africa because of the COVID restrictions, but they probably can travel to Ghana. And then now that changes the game altogether. So I don't see us beating them away. Definitely not.
Listen, it wasn't
I-
a
I-
fluke
I-
last time, and it's not gonna be a fluke again.
I tend to
I'm not saying it's a
skeptical when
fluke.
it comes to
I'm not saying
Bafana.
it was a fluke. I'm not saying it was a fluke.
No, you're saying well their best players weren't there, yada yada yada. I mean, we played against people that never actually played for Bafana before. A whole totally
Look,
new
I get
team.
that. I get that.
So we're both
I
the same,
appreciate
and we
that.
still won.
Yeah.
So
So, what do you think at full strength? Do you think we can take it?
let them come. Why not? Let's test our
I
boys
tend-
to
I
see if
tend-
they're actually good enough.
Pelota fedile battery. I can't anymore.
No. Listen. Let me tell you. The thing about Bafana is this, right? You can't count on them. So the only thing that you can do is just be hopeful. So I am hopeful that they're going to win.
Hope
No,
is
there's no
irrational when it
fact.
comes to Bafana.
I've got no facts. I've got no statistics behind me to say this is why. This is
Yeah.
all
Hope-
emotion
Hope is
and
irrational.
faith.
That's the hope that kills me.
Oh, what
You
I
see,
hope
this
it
is this is the problem. This is the problem is that I've seen this movie before. I've watched this movie so many times,
Exactly.
and I know how it ends. And it's a sad story. It's a tragedy. It's a Greek tragedy. Okay, it always ends in tears, and I'm tired of being thrown into the same cycle of pain where I get hopeful because frankly we do have a lot of good youngsters coming through the ranks. Some of them are actually playing in Europe. They're doing well, but it's the fact that you get hopeful and then games that we should be winning, we don't.
We don't win.
And then it just begins to break the sadness.
And then the calculators come out. And then the
Yeah,
calculators come
and then
out.
exactly.
No.
Now we
They're
need someone else
already
to do
out.
us a favor.
They're already out. They're predicting what's gonna happen next. Okay.
No, you're speaking as an Arsenal fan.
Huh?
He's speaking as an Arsenal fan. He says a
Speaking
guy
as an
that doesn't
Arsenal
get
fan,
tired
he's-
of pain.
No,
He's used to heartbreak.
Milton, let me tell you. We have to take out the calculators now and say, okay, Sharp, if we lose 2 games, can we at least win 4 or 3 or 2 or 1? Because we know
The
for
two
a
games
fact
that we need to win.
we're gonna have
The two
to
games
lose
that we
one
need to
game.
win.
But
The
we
two games
always
that we
playing
need
with
to win.
calculators, and we're not good at math. Generally, as a country, we're not good at math, but we always rely
No,
on
that's
math.
why.
Okay, I'm going to end
No,
it there.
no, no,
Once we
no,
start
no.
degrading
Listen, that was
our
a low blow.
educational infrastructure, our educational
That was a
system,
low
we're going to
blow.
move on now. Let me just give a shout out to everyone who's been able to tune into the show. If you come in,
Yep.
you've left, or you're here, thank you so much for being here. We have Simniki Wengelanga, on goal Liberia, Chad Peterson. We have a legend, Buipelo Mabuse. Right? What a player that guy is. I wish you guys could just see him play.
Amazing
Thanks
player.
for being here.
Petros,
Amazing.
Thanks for being here,
Petros.
gents. Really, really appreciate you.
Petros.
Before we move on, let's see what some of the comments are. Let's see what Stiga is saying here. Bafana just doesn't have a culture to win.
It's not in us,
Yeah.
bro.
A
It's
bunch
not
of
in us.
losers.
No, don't say
A
that.
bunch of
of
losers.
losers.
Don't say that.
Perfect description.
Ah,
No, he
okay.
mustn't say that. We all know this. We all know this. Don't say that. Don't say that. We're
Let's
trying to
see
build
what,
that culture. We've already started winning.
Let's
Don't we
see
know we
what
know how to win
Shandy
is
has.
proud.
All right. Ramuki with the Bafana maths. Yeah, that's South African
Yeah.
mathematics for you there, my boy. And we
Maths
use
literacy.
calculators. Yeah, we lose calculators also because our arithmetic isn't that great. All righty, gents. Let's keep it moving. Okay, now this one is going to bring up a nice heated debate. Okay, but one thing we can agree on is that it's a marvelous milestone. Okay, the one thing we can agree on is what a milestone this is. Mohamed Salah scores his 100th goal in the Premier League. Okay, no, excuse me. Yes, 100th goal in the Premier League. 2 of those goals having been for Chelsea, but 98 of them for Liverpool. Gents, what a player! What a player! Okay, but I want to explore, where does he rank? Okay, where does he rank? And Sadio Mane as well, by the way, scored his 100th goal in the Premier League. So around the same time, these two gents. Although Sadio Mane had a longer stint and a more successful stint at Southampton before his arrival at Liverpool. But where do these guys rank? Okay, I want to know where they rank in terms of Africa's greatest players of all time, Africa's greatest EPL players of all time, and in general, in all of Premier League goal scorers of all time. Where do these gents rank for you?
Yo. Yeah,
I think
We've got some
Salah.
greats.
I think Salah, in terms of the Premier League, I think he rates amongst the best in terms of goal scorers. If you look at his efficiency rate, it's amazing. 162 games, and you score that many goals. Like it's unheard of. Those are Cristiano Ronaldo kind of numbers, or Lionel Messi type of numbers. And it would be interesting to see how long he can maintain this run, in which will speak in favor to his status as a goat, so to speak. But I personally, I think he's in my top 10 of best strikers in the Premier League. He's definitely in there. And then in terms of Africa,
Milton, have we lost you?
Ooh, I think he froze.
Did he
Either
freeze?
that or he's
So
sleeping.
okay, Ramuki, do you wanna pick up from where he's left off? I think we've lost two gents here.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to say, listen, for Premier League, yes, top 10 I think is not that much of a stretch. I think top 10 for both Salah and Sadio. I think that's not that much far of a stretch. I think I can accept that one. Um, when I look in Africa as a whole, of all time, and I'm talking about all time now.
Mm-hmm.
Top 10, I don't think I'm gonna put them in there, but I still have to think about it. That's why I said, "Eesh, that's a good question. It's a great question to see, because when I look at guys like what JJ, when I look at what Drogba, what Eto, I mean those guys. When I look at those, maybe they might not have the same amount of numbers they have. Like, so for example, how Salah has when he was at Liverpool and Chelsea. But those ones were top players there. Those were top players. They are top players, Sadio and Mane. But
So,
for yeah,
no, what I was going to say, it seems like you guys all think that it's easier for him to be considered top 10 Premier League goal scorers of all time than it is to be considered top 10 African player of all time.
yeah, that's for me.
Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, the numbers
I mean, I
are
look at
outrageous.
Okano. I look, yeah,
The numbers. No, I'm saying that the numbers are outrageous. You know,
are crazy.
yeah, the numbers are absolutely outrageous. You know, the speed with which he got to these. I mean, you're looking at them here, right? You know, out of all the goals he scored, 63 of these games, of the 79 games, right? He scored in to reach this number. I mean, that's a maddening amount of goals. Obviously, that educated left foot, 82 of those goals coming from that proper cutting inside, smashing the ball into the top corner of the net. Okay, a couple of headers, very few penalties, by the way. So many of these are in open play. Yeah, but Tembani, what's your opinion? Saudio, there's Mohamed Salah and Saudio, because by the way, we're talking about both of them.
Yeah, for sure. Whew. Look, both of them, I think, has done well for themselves. You know, reaching such milestones. I know most of Salah's goals probably came for Liverpool, and then Sadio's a little bit mixed with Southampton, right? But in general, I think they did really well, and it makes a debate between who's better or who you put on a higher pedestal between two much more harder, because they're literally almost on the same level, depending on how you want to look at it. So for me, I'm just glad that both of them, you know, they're at the peak of their careers, and they're actually hitting this type of numbers. That we actually have African players that are hitting this type of numbers, you know, in the Prem. You know, definitely, I think it's a great reflection, obviously, on African players in general, but also on Liverpool and them personally, you know, in their own personal capacities. I think, yeah, it's really good. Yeah.
I mean, let's here's another little graphic I've put up here. Mo Salah has joined the Premier League 100 club. Only Alan Shearer, I don't rate him. Harry Kane, I don't rate him either. Sergio Aguero and Thierry Henry have reached no. I rate Aguero and TT. I have to rate them. Have reached this 100 goal milestone quicker than him. I mean, gents, these are all, at least you know, these are all considered legends. These are absolutely all unequivocally considered legends of Premier League goal scoring. Okay, I mean, top class players. Sergio Aguero and Thierry Henry at the very least. So where does in this group? Let's narrow it down to this group of players. Where do Sadio and or at least let's talk about Salah, because now this particular one is about Salah. Where do they rank? Where does he rank here? Alan Shearer, Harry Kane, Sergio Aguero, Thierry Henry. If you were to put them in an order,
he's top three. He's top three. TT, Sergio Aguero, Salah. For me, that's my top three.
Yeah, actually.
You agree with that, Ramuki?
Henry, Sergio, yeah. Melton, you got it. Yeah.
Yeah, listen.
When we look at these ones, we've got it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, for me, Harry Plain, Alan Shearer, please don't speak to me about an Alan Shearer. I don't even want to have that conversation. I think you guys know me well enough to know that. And this is my show. I can do that. Fight me in the comments. Okay, let's see what the gents have to say in the comments. Let's address some of these comments before we keep it going. Buipelo Mabusela says, Ish, tough guys now are running mad numbers, no doubt, but Africa, I'm not too sure. So I think he agrees with you on the fact that it's easier to get into Prem's top scorers than Africa's all-time players. All right,
because you don't just judge it on just the scoring.
Exactly, which is what he goes on to say, which is, we've had legends. I agree with Ramuki, but quality is not just stats. And I think we all here believe believe that. Okay. Chad Peterson says, I think they're both EPL top 10 African players, right? Not goal scorers, right? But players in general. All right. Let's see. Again, Boipila says, yes, it is easier to score more goals now. I mean, we have VAR, and now it's becoming harder to defend. And I reckon the game has become very soft in terms of fouls, penalty calls, which drives strikers. Okay. Is that true? Is that true, gents? Can you guys address
Oh,
that comment?
come on. How many times have we seen soft penalties or soft fouls, and we're like, wow, is that really a? In fact, if we can argue that that's not a foul, that's too soft, that's not, that it could be a foul, then we already know. I mean, if you look at the days, maybe let's say 15 years ago, a foul was a foul. You could see it. It was a
Mm,
foul.
mm.
Do you
No
understand? If a
debate.
leg is not broke, it's not a foul.
Mm, mm.
But now, any little touch is just considered a foul. You become a little bit aggressive. It's a foul, especially if he's a soft, a light player playing against a very strong African. Then all of a sudden, little touch is a foul. So
Okay.
yeah, I definitely agree with what he said.
Okay, interesting. Do you think players dive more today? Do you think they try to take more advantage of the referee these days than they used to? Do you think it's more prevalent now? Or do you think it's just a question of us having more technology to examine the game, like your VAR and so on? You know, the referees all have an earpiece. They communicate with the linesman. You know, there's never a question of missing what the linesman has to say because you even have an earpiece to communicate with
No,
them. What do you think?
I just think the opportunists will always be there, whether it's what was 10 years ago or 5 years ago or now. I just think people are just going to be opportunists in that. It's just that right now, because of how soft things get, how you get a soft foul, it's it's you're gonna do more. You're gonna throw yourself down more. You're gonna dive more because everything is soft. Whereby then, sometimes faking a foul will get you kicked even harder, so you tended to be a little bit more stronger to protect
Mm,
yourself.
mm,
Whereby
mm,
now you don't really need to protect yourself that much anymore because everything's just soft. So I think
mm.
that diving now happens more now than it used to.
Okay, fair enough. Tembani, did you want to add anything to that? Ramuki saying that opportunists will always exist, but there is maybe the game is a little bit softer now than it used to be. Would you agree with that? Tembani, can you hear us? Your mic is muted, my
He's on
friend.
mute.
Hey, Shade,
He's
your
out.
internet is third world. Well, yeah, I think let me address that myself. Ramuki. I certainly think that there is more refereeing intervention these days. But honestly, I don't necessarily think it's to the detriment of football. Is it easier to score? Perhaps it is. Is that a bad thing? I'm not sure that it is either. I'm not sure that it's a bad thing because as a saucy player myself, I used to be, when I played in my
Kicked
day,
all the
I
time.
was, yeah, Kimunatu boy, I was a slippery kind of guy, and how would people stop me? By kicking me, by fouling me,
Yeah.
which is against the rules. Okay, so where was my protection? So to a degree, it's facilitated quality players to be able to play without risking injury. Because
Yeah.
even for example, if we speak about the continent, you start dribbling, and a guy will say to you, "Hey, I'll break your leg if you do that nonsense here again." And the guy will try to break your leg. How are you supposed to play football under
Yep.
those conditions?
Conditions.
What do you think on this talk, Milton? Can you hear us, buddy?
Is he on mute?
Milton?
Oh no, definitely. They used to be. Yeah. Am I on mute?
No, we
No,
can
no,
hear
we
you.
can hear you.
Continue, buddy.
Can you guys hear me? So I was saying, is a fancy player or is a gifted player, um, doesn't mean that people have to use brute force, and it's a common thing. It's detrimental to the game because what
Ish. Internet is not on our
Actually, I can't hear
side
him properly.
today. Yeah.
Encourages people
All right, Milton, I
to.
think I'm going to cut you because it's very difficult to hear what you're saying. But I think we get the gist, right? Which is that it's detrimental to the game when people are always kicking and always, being violent with players that are quality, because that's actually what we love to see. That's the kind of football we enjoy watching,
Yeah.
is quality players playing quality football, doing magical things on the ball. So people really, really shouldn't take it personally, right? Let's see what we have in the comments, folks. If you're just joining us, really, really appreciate you being here. We're discussing how quality players sometimes get abused, and if it's easier to score these days in world football because of the changes in refereeing and the alleged softening of referees and calls and fouls. Firstly, want to send a shout out to my man from One Touch TV, Niger Englishman. Big up the Mandem, right? That's how you know that my brother's English. All right. This one was for me. From Stiga, Buipelo, Umunati boy. I think he's referring to me. That's me, gents. He's talking about me. Thank you, sir. Appreciate your kin. All right. Let's see what One Touch has to say. Soon we will have timeouts and we will have Super Bowl at this rate. Everything is about money now, not as much heart. Football died the moment Abramovich came. Great for Chelsea, terrible for the game. Ramuki, do you want to address that? How do you feel about that? Was that the moment that football started to dip?
No, man. How can one chairman at Chelsea change everything? Speak to FIFA there. FIFA is the one that does all these nonsense rules. So I mean, I definitely agree that with the timeouts, I think it's gonna happen soon. I do believe that unfortunately money and that type of power kinda changes a lot of things in everything, not necessarily just football. But for this sake, I think money does change a lot of things. I mean, you even saw it with the whole Super League nonsense.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
I definitely agree, but I don't think it's an Abramovich thing. I think it's a whole if I'm wealthy, I can do whatever I want thing. And
Okay. Yeah, but we have seen a lot of moves towards a very Americanization of the game. And actually, since I wanted to tackle this in another show, but we can talk about it briefly. For example, they're talking about removing heading from the game, which is something that has been kind of happening in America for some time now at the lower levels. So maybe we might see that in
but
the
who did
game
they take?
later.
But let me ask you, who did they take? Which 9-year-old or 7-year-old who started hearing the ball from 7 years old to professional level who can't use his head right now? Who did they take? I mean, I understand NFL. I
Ramuki,
understand NFL.
save it. We're going to discuss
Okay,
that on another show because it requires
okay.
time and it is that which we do not currently have. Let's quickly see what Chadley has to say before we move on. Chad Peterson definitely is easier to score now, but the general level of player has gone up in terms of fitness, intensity, and exposure to the game in general. That's 100%. We have access to internet. We have access to videos. There are coaching courses online. I absolutely agree that across the board, the quality of footballer has improved. I 100% agree with Chad. What's your
Wait,
take on that,
yeah,
Krohi?
uh, I agree. Fitness, intensity has changed, exposure has changed for the game. Whether it's making the kids smarter or bringing out smarter players at youth development, I'm still questioning that. So yes, kids can look at YouTube videos and learn a new technique, can you learn tactics, can learn all these things because there's an abundance of knowledge on the internet. But whether we're creating smarter players is also a question mark for me. Players that aren't robotic, players that
Mm.
think for themselves, that can solve problems,
Less
that
individually
I'm still
talented
questioning.
players, perhaps. There's
100%.
there's sort of this archetype for player that must be created, and when you don't fit into
100%.
this archetypical
Then
mold,
you're moved
you're
out.
not. Yeah, yeah, you're pushed
It's
out.
like
There's
everybody is, I mean, everybody's starting to look the same.
yeah.
And very few players that don't look the same either won't get started. I mean, let's give an example with Ndombele from
Mm-hmm.
Tottenham.
Mm-hmm.
He's one
Mm-hmm.
guy that can change the game so easily. Doesn't really like being in a box, and you force him to be in the box,
Mm-hmm.
he can't play.
Mm-hmm.
Now you say he's
I
not a
think
good player, but he's a great player.
and actually African players will be affected most by this because African players are being affected by this. Brazilian players are being affected by this. It's too structured. It's too kids are entering into
Yeah.
academies very early, and in the academy we want this, and when you're not this. You're pushed out. The
No, you're just
creativity,
pushed
the
out to the side.
invention,
Yeah.
yeah, the intellect, the
And you know what they say?
imagination.
They say he's got an attitude problem.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's not an attitude problem. It's just, well, when you called me to come play for you, you called me
It
for
was
these
because of
attributes.
this. Yes.
It's because of these attributes. Now
Yeah.
all of a sudden that these attributes have attitude. No, it's not attitude. You've always known my nature.
Yeah.
You've always
Yeah.
known
You
the
knew
nature of
what I
how I think.
bring, and you're trying to fit me into a box that I it just doesn't encompass
That's
me.
not doesn't exist. It's not in my culture.
Mm,
Do you understand? Yes, I have
yeah.
to. I understand. I'm African. I'm going to play in Europe, and I have to adapt to how they play. But my nature shouldn't change that much.
Mm.
My nature shouldn't change that much. If I'm a dribbler, I'm a dribbler.
Let me dribble.
If I'm more confrontational in terms of how I attack you when I receive the ball, and you want us to knock the ball 150 times, but when it gets to me, I don't want to knock. I want to take you on. You've
Mm,
known that's my nature. Work out a system that allows me to be that way.
mhm, mhm. It's
I
interesting
mean,
because at Crystal Palace, the guys are talking about how they feel a little bit more freedom under Vieira, which is something they weren't experiencing before. And you can see the joy,
and
the
it's looking positive.
change. Yeah, it looks positive.
Looking
Guys look
positive.
happy. Guys are football. I mean, we're fans after all, even before we're players or coaches or professionals. We're fans of the
Yep.
game, and that's what we want to see. The happiness, the
The
joga
enjoyment of,
bonito.
yes, yes, 100%. I think
Yeah.
also, in fact, I'd even come back to what the previous comment was in terms of these are the guys that messed up football.
Well, actually,
I
he
think
has another comment as well, in the
okay,
same vein. One Touch TV says, "I will tell you how." Responding to you, Ramuki, he made the big investment and transformed the club. This is Chelsea. Then that became the new thing. Now we have 19-year-olds asking for 200K plus a week. I'm telling you, Abramovich started this. What do you think?
no, again, money's always been in football. What about the sponsorships? How much money was sponsorships giving these kids?
Mm.
Money has always been there. Money has never
Neymar was
changed.
sponsored at 14.
At 14, that has not changed. But my point is this: if I'm administrating certain things in football, so for example, the scout, the team doctor, whatever the case is, everybody within that department, right? Make sure that the boy can perform. And if they're winning, then it means his approach worked. If it me, he can't tell me that because they put in so much money in, everybody that's been winning currently has all put in so much money. Leicester came in from championship and won. They weren't putting as much money as how everybody else was putting, but they won the league.
Mm.
The exact same league that Chelsea is in. Do you understand? So yes, I
Yeah.
agree. Money, money does change a few things, but not really. That it doesn't affect the. Yes, it affects the quality because you can bring in quality players in, but it doesn't guarantee you that you're going to win.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Let's see. One last comment on this subject before we keep moving. There's something I want to ask you for us before we close out. Okay. This is also from Boipelo. Good coaches always know how to work the system to suit the players. That I think you wanted to say. Being said, can we touch a bit on CR7 from Man United and if the system suits him? Is Ole doing enough? Not now, not here, not at this moment, Buipilo, but one of these days we will touch on that. Our killer now
We're collecting
is
data.
time. Yeah, our killer
We're
now
collecting
is
data.
time. Okay, so to double back to where this all began, we were actually talking about Mo Salah and ranking them in African players. Where do Sadio Mane, who by the way scored 9 games in a row against Crystal Palace, which is the most games scored against a single team in a row by any player in the Premier League history. So again, another record breaker, Sadio Mane. Where do these guys rank? African players of all time, Premier League players all time,
Premier League players of all
or
time.
Premier League goal scorers all time.
Now let me say,
Top 5,
yeah,
top 10.
goal scorers, top 5. I mean, we put Salah at top 3 goal scorers. Sadio maybe still in the top 10, maybe even to stretch it, I'll say top 15 going down,
Okay,
going to top 10.
and then African players.
In African players, top 20 maybe. Maybe he'd hit the top 20.
20.
But I still have to think about it. Yeah, I still have to think about it
Top
because we've got
20.
quality players, bruh. We
Yeah,
had
I
some
know,
quality players
We've
of
had
all
quality
time.
players.
Of all time.
Okay.
Yeesh.
Okay. Okay. Listen, for me, I'll tell you straight up and down. For me, Saudio definitely enters top 10. Okay. Maybe we can start fighting when we get closer to 5. But top 10,
Okay.
Saudio, he's in there.
all
And
time.
interesting, of all time, top 10,
Of all
Saudio
time.
is in there. Of all time, top 10, he's
Listen,
in there.
Can,
We'll-
next week, can we touch up on this again? I just want to get my list and you'll see.
Next
It might
week,
even hit 30.
next week you'll bring your list. Next week you bring your list. And guys,
Yeah.
you who are watching, in the comments, if you guys want to hit us next week, bring your list. Top 10 African players of all time in order, please. Don't come and tell us no particular order. Don't cower. Don't cower from the tough decisions. All right. Then you can do that next
Sure.
week. Thanks for being here, guys. Please hit the like and subscribe before we go any further. Let me just tackle this one last comment before we move on. Salah better than Mane, but not by much. I disagree. Is Salah the better goal scorer? Absolutely. But who's the better player? Sadio Mane. What about
I
for
agree.
you, Ramuki? You
I
agree?
agree. I agree 100%. I've even mentioned this with the whole Liverpool situation where he's always been the one sacrifice money because he helps so much defensively, offensively. He puts his body on the line. Salah is just a tukiri boy. He's a sugar boy, so everything has to be there in the final third just to score. Sadio Mane, bruh, he will work his ass off the whole day, whole day, and he puts in a lot of shift. I mean, yes, to be frank, this season he's been a little bit. He hasn't started well, but I think he's starting to pick up now.
Okay. All right, gents. So as we wind down, I just want to touch on a few other performances from Africans around the league football. Okay, Watford and their immigrant contingent there. Ismail Assar double on the weekend. Emmanuel Dennis goes for Watford as they beat Norwich. Serge Gnabry, Leroy Sané, Choupo-Moting, all helped Bayern absolutely destroy Bielefeld Bochum 7-0. Okay, Sebastian Haller on target again as Ajax destroy Canberra 9-0. That was a little unnecessary there for Ajax. And then a new
Just cut
gem.
the game short.
Yeah, I mean, there has to be a mercy rule now in football. These scores are becoming outrageous. The gap seems to be
Ridiculous.
widening. Absolutely crazy. And also another player I just wanted to briefly touch on. I don't know what's your feeling about him, but Victor Osimhen. From Napoli. The guy is absolutely spectacular. Nigerian striker, scored 2 goals against Leicester in the UEFA Cup. Okay, yeah, UEFA Cup, right? Yeah, for their to come back and tie the game. They were 2-0 down. He's already reached ridiculous numbers for club and and country as well. I mean, what a player! Do you see a big future for him? Do you see a move away from Napoli, maybe to greener pastures somewhere else?
Napoli is a, I think sometimes giving them a little bit more time is key because I've seen a lot of guys move from one club to the other, especially a place where they're doing very well at,
Mhm.
going to another place and not replicating the same amount of levels as
Mm,
before.
mm, mm.
So, but if he goes to a team that really can play to his style, there's no way he can't get any better. That's what I believe.
So
Uh,
maybe a Premier League. He's somewhat of a pretty typical Premier League striker. Strong, powerful, quick. Right. Really good with the ball on his
he's
head.
gonna
Right.
have
Even
to
his feet.
he's gonna have to go to Chelsea then.
Ish, but
If
where
if
does he
you're
play at
if
Chelsea then?
with those
Does Chelsea move
contribute,
to a 4-4-2? Because you can't bench Lukaku.
I mean, he can compete with Lukaku, can't he?
This is
And
an
he's a
Arsenal.
young.
This is the kind of player that Arsenal can do with. This is the kind of
No,
player that you guys can do with. What
not
do you
with
mean
that
no?
coach.
What do
Not
you?
with that coach.
Okay, well then no player should ever go to Arsenal because you
I
don't
mean,
have a coach.
let me. No, I definitely agree. Till he leaves, no player should come to Arsenal. We've got Abba, one of a great striker, great African striker. He was even struggling. You want to bring out a kid? I mean, we've got somebody there crying there because he thought he'd come there and he'll be looking at the seniors going, okay, you guys are going to help me out. The seniors are looking at him going, hey, dude, help us out. How? Sorry, we're not talking about Arsenal today.
No, but it's fine. We have a few questions here. Big up to Eli China Wandaya. He wants to know, just in there, guys, please, who are we talking about right now? We're talking about Victor Osimhen. We're talking about his performance for Napoli against Leicester. 90 minutes, 2 goals, 6 shots, 1 big chance created, 2 key passes, 4 dribbles, and then 100% of his passes completed. And yeah, okay, the stats are there, but even the stats don't do the performance justice. The man can play. He's unstoppable on the run. He can play with his back to goal. He can play facing. And it's not just about the physical or the technical, the mentality. The man drove Napoli to get those points back. 2-0 down, and he willed the ball into the net. And those kinds of players are not a dime a dozen. Very, very rare. Super spectacular a player for me. I really think he's destined for big things. Certainly a big money move away. Big money move away from Napoli to where exactly? I'm not sure, but I think there are many bigger clubs than Napoli, right? I think there are
Yep.
many bigger clubs than Napoli, and I think he's going to end up at one of them. He's got to end up at one of them. I mean, let's look at this graphic here, right? 20 for Charleroi in Belgium, 18 for Lille, and he's already scored 12 for Napoli. So that's 50 career goals, and he's 22. Okay, so he's
Oh
22.
no, no, it's gonna be a monster.
He's going to be an absolute menace, right? He's going to be an absolute menace. I think he's
Just
going to
need
be
to pick
just
the right
another
club.
great Nigerian strikers. I mean, we all know how many strikers they produce as a nation. Right.
Yeah.
Let's see what we have in the comments here. Boipelo says, Homolu to me has been the best striker this season. My God, right? What a player. What a player. For me, he's been one of the top strikers in the world for at least half a decade now. Let's see what else he has to say. And we're slowly losing traditional number 9s with the modern game, but he is still up there. What a machine. What a machine. This
Yeah.
is Homolu Lukaku, I assume. Yeah, fantastic
Yeah.
player. All right.
No, he's right about that.
Ramuki,
I think
I
they're gonna
think.
create. Oh,
Go ahead, buddy. Go ahead. Talk to
yeah.
me.
I was saying I think they were gonna create. They're gonna start creating like Philippe what's the number nine's name from Liverpool
Roberto
again?
Firmino, you're thinking.
Roberto Firmino. Yes, I think those are the kind of nines right now in the modern football that we're gonna get. Not the ones that just go to the goals and finish, just the ones that just connect. connect their games. It's like having two tens, for example.
Yeah, I mean that's always been my preferred style of striker. I mean, even if you think about Ronaldo or phenomenon, even a Sergio Aguero, Thierry Henry, these guys were never typical number nines. These guys were
Yeah,
playmaking forwards. They used to call them at that time, right? These are guys that could enter into the midfield, play, go wide on the wings, take players on, and create as much as they scored. So for me, I don't necessarily think that that's a new concept. I just think it's being proliferated a lot more. So there's a lot of strikers like that. Am I against your typical nines? No. I loved me some Adriano. Definitely huge fan of Adriano and other typical number nine, DJ Drogba.
yeah,
But even Samuel Eto'o was a player that could float around, move into spaces, create. Played on the right for Jose Mourinho. Sometimes played on the left at Barcelona. So for me, that's always been a superior type of striker.
yeah. Being dynamic.
Dynamic.
Yeah,
That's the word. A dynamic.
yeah.
Right. So let's check out these last few comments before we close off the show. Ellie has to say, I've been wanting to know from you guys what you think of Lukaku. Thanks. Okay. And then Buipelo said, true. Yeah, false nines are about the modern games. Okay. So, yeah, so pretty common and popular now. But Lukaku, what a striker. What a player. Top. Blah, blah, blah. First touch. I don't want to hear it. The man bang goals. And look, I
I've been
value
saying that. Yeah.
technical players. I value quality players. Yes, technical player, but I don't believe his first touch is as bad as people make it out to be. Firstly, is it inconsistent? Perhaps you can argue that, but poor. You don't get that many goals if your first touch
Yeah,
is poor.
I think you're right. Inconsistent is the right one.
Yeah, inconsistent is the right one.
Inconsistent is
Actually,
the right one because I mean,
we yeah, we actually do have one more here. Even Harry Kane drops in sometimes these days as well, which is interesting as he was a traditional nine. Yeah, he was a traditionally
he
poor nine.
drops in and stays down there. And he
Yeah,
comes back after
he's
3 hours.
overrated player. Overrated player.
Yeah.
But this is where we should kill the show, because if not, we can stay here and talk for hours. Gents, please hit like, please subscribe. My name is Mbizo Mzamane. This is Joga Afro. I'm with my man, Klochi Ramuki. You want to give a shout out to the folks at home, brother?
Thank you guys for watching the show. Thank you guys for your comments. Listen, keep watching the show so we can make it even better for you guys.
Awesome. Folks, I really appreciate it. So we happened to lose some of the team during the course of the ESCOM
They had
is
load
up to
shedding.
its old tricks. Perhaps they have load shedding. It's difficult to know which socioeconomic problem from our continent has hit them. But we really appreciate you guys coming. We also had Temba Maluleke and Milton Ntlapeng on our show. You can also check them out. I have them posted. I will post their tags as well, Instagram, Facebook, whatever you need to do to check them out. Really appreciate you. We are here every Tuesday, same time, different topics, and it's always fantastic fun. We appreciate you guys. Oh, and don't forget your lists. Top 10 African players of all time in order.
Of all time. Yeah, got you.
All right. Ramuki, thanks a lot, brother. I'll see you on the flip side, my man.
Cheers, man. Thanks again.
Bye, guys.